everyone. Hope you're doing well. This is the Deep Dive. My name is Drew Creekmer. I'm the Director of Advisory Services here at Creekmer Wealth. Today, I'm joined by a face that many of you know, but who has not been on the show recently, and that's Andy Anderson. He's currently our Director of Financial Planning and is a wealth advisor as well. And Andy, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. Long time listener, first time caller. So good to be on.
Hey, it's good to have you. Stuff we're going to cover today, I think you're the perfect person to walk us through some of the really cool developments our planning team has had on just adding new tools and capacity for us to go through. So we'll definitely get into that. One of the questions I have to ask, we're going to play golf together next month, but how much have you been getting out? I'm trying to figure out how badly you're going to smoke me.
It depends. My scores have been within a range of like 20 strokes, one way or the other. So it's been a pretty wide distribution. I did shoot my best ever. I shot at 87 this summer,
Nice.
best ever. But I've also been over 100 quite a few times. So who
Nice.
knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it isn't this the most golf is the most maddening but fantastic game of all
It
time, right?
is. It is. Yeah, I got into it last year, and I'm loving every second of it.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, it'll be fun when we all get to play together here next month. And well, hopefully, I think I'm going to be with you. I'm going to be over 100 probably, but hey, so,
We'll see. Maybe you and me can bring up the rear. Connor and John can lead from the front,
yeah,
and
there we go. There we
we'll
go.
see how it goes.
Well, hey, just want to remind everyone of a couple of major events that are coming up before we get into things. First and foremost is on July 3rd in Morton, Illinois. We are hosting one of the largest fireworks displays in Central Illinois. I was there last year, and it was an incredible event. Lots of things for kids to do, bouncy houses, foods, all that sort of thing. If you would like to attend, we have a separate parking and seating area for you to come and join us for that event. So please reach out to the office and let them know if you would like to attend. We'd love to see you there. And as you're all aware, John's new nickname is the Fireworks Man. It is his favorite time of year, so it'd be fantastic to have you all join us. So the other major thing to talk about is the Schwab and TD Ameritrade merger. I've been talking about it the last few weeks, and we're going to continue to remind you about it. Starting on Saturday of this week, our operations team will begin sending out regular email video updates to you, just letting you know where we are at in the process and remind you of any critical information that you need to know about. But big picture, something that we've been aware of for a while and we have been preparing for, making sure that you all are taken care of. So watch out for that video coming out here this weekend. So, all right, Andy, let's get into it. So for
Simon?
those of our clients who are retired or are approaching retirement that we've met with recently, you may have heard a phrase that we've talked about. It's called spending capacity. And so, Andy, can you kind of walk us through, what is most retirees' biggest question, and how are we addressing it through some new tools and techniques that we've gathered here at Creekmore Wealth?
Yeah, great question. So spending capacity, let's boil it down this way. It's kind of, when we reach retirement, what's our maximum budget? Based on our details such as assets and income streams and all of that. What is that amount that we really can feel comfortable spending each month in retirement? And I think it's helpful because what I've seen a lot of times as I've been talking with clients over the years, being here at Creekmore Wealth is, when clients are working, it makes total sense. You go to work, you get your paycheck goes into your checking account, and then you spend that paycheck on groceries, on fun things, on car insurance, whatever it is, you get your paycheck and you spend it. Money comes into the account, money goes out. In retirement, it's not as simple as that. It's not as simple as I'm getting my paycheck every week or every month or however it is. A lot of times people are going to have as many as two, three, four, even five different streams of income coming to them at any given point in time. So trying to keep all of that straight and determine, well, okay, I have this much coming from Social Security, this much coming from my rental properties, this much coming from a pension. How much can I take from my investments? It can get very confusing very quickly. So that
Right.
spending capacity is our way of boiling down all of that into one number to say where you're trending right now, either prior to, at, or in retirement. Here is that one number that based on all of your facts, we feel very strongly that you would be able to spend on a monthly basis until further notice.
Yeah, I think that's a really critical number for people to walk into retirement knowing, right? So they
Yeah.
have total peace of mind to just do the things they want to do and not have to worry about money. And that's,
Right.
why we've been really excited about a new development in the financial planning technology space that has enabled us to do that. And so, Andy, I think it'd be a great moment. Why don't you walk us through Income Lab, what it is, and really how we're using it with our clients?
Yeah, absolutely. And so, just to touch on what you said real quick, is just having that knowledge going into retirement of what that number is can provide so much peace of mind because I think some of the anxiety or some of the concerns or fears that can arise for a retiree is just simply knowing, are we spending the right amount? Are we spending too much? Are we spending too little? Is this going to last forever? And if we can give a simple, easy number to say, this is what you can spend, as long as you're below that number, then yeah, we're very confident in the plan. And that way you can go off and, it doesn't matter if you go out and have a nice dinner an extra 2 times a month or, go out and take a trip somewhere. As long as we're working within that spending capacity number, then we know we're good. And then if something needs to be updated, we can update that. So let's walk through. Yeah, we'll walk through Income Lab. I've got kind of a sample household pulled up that we can walk through the tool, how we use it, some different numbers that we can walk through. All right, so I've got a sample household pulled up here. This is in our tool, Income Lab. This is what we use to map out retirement spending. I'm not going to walk through everything, Drew, but in the household, we can go in and we can enter in all the facts for a client. We've got balances, assets, liabilities, savings, income, expenses, what our goal is in retirement as far as spending. So we can enter all of their data in here. And then what the tool does, the way I describe it is it basically drops you into a time machine, puts you in a time machine, and it
Yeah.
drops you off all the way back, starting with the year 1871. That's as far back as we have data on everything we're looking at. So it drops you back there, and it lets you basically live your retirement in that time frame. And we're able to see what would have actually happened with the stock market, what would have actually happened with inflation, what would have actually happened with any economic developments that were going on. And we're able to map out and see, okay, if we're spending a certain amount at each point in time, how does that impact the balance of the assets? How do they grow or decrease over time? And then in turn, how does that impact the risk of the income to the clients in that time period? That's one scenario. Then we do the same thing, except that time machine is going to stop a little bit sooner. Instead of January of 1871, it's going to stop in February of 1871. It's going to do it all over, let you live your retirement in that time period. And it does that for every single period we can look at until there's no longer enough years to have a full retirement. And it uses all of that data to determine, well, what did markets do? What did inflation do? How did that impact spending ability? How did that impact portfolio risk? And it breaks it down into this one number right here, which we've mentioned already, the spending capacity. So for these clients, they have $2 million in assets. They have a little bit of income from a pension. They have a little bit of income from Social Security. So it's multiple different sources of income, as I mentioned before, but it's saying, based on what we know now and based on what we've seen throughout history, a realistic spending capacity for this household in retirement starting today is $13,300. So that's a very quick view to say, and maybe this household, maybe they're really only targeting, 10,000. Actually, in this one, we can see here their desired spending is actually only $7,300 a month. I can see that over here. Well, if I know that the goal is $7,300, but I know that they're capable of spending $13,300, well, obviously that means they've got a lot of buffer in their plan, a lot of room for movement in their plan. So they are, fully capable of going out and spending their goal of $7,300 per month. They're basically just banking that extra and leaving it, for down the road if it's ever needed. So it's a really great view to say, okay, what can we actually spend? If you want to spend it all, great, you're able to. If you don't, great, you're in an even better position.
Yeah.
From there, then, we're able to basically put guardrails on that income number. We're able to say, if the risk to the plan, if the risk to the income gets too high, we're going to notify these clients and say, hey, guys, your risk is getting a little bit higher than we wanted to. In order to reduce that risk back down to an area we're comfortable with, we recommend dropping your spending, or in other words, lowering your spending capacity at this point in time. And we can see very clearly what it would take for us to make that reach out. We can see if the assets were to drop from $2 million down to $1.43 million, that would prompt a call from us to say, hey guys, Mr. and Mrs. Client, we're going to recommend dropping that spending capacity for a period of time. Now, remember, these clients only wanted to spend $7,300. So even though we're dropping this capacity down to 12,700, for them, nothing needs to change because they weren't spending it all anyway. So, but this is a good way to see, okay, when do we need to make an adjustment to make sure that the risk in the plan, the risk to the clients is in a range that we're comfortable with at all times.
And Andy, I know the other thing that just my conversations I have with my clients about this, 2022, we saw markets down massively, right? The S&P was down 19 and a
Yeah.
half. The NASDAQ was
Right.
down 30. Bonds were down close to 15%, which was the worst year for U.S. bonds since the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
But a lot of them, the feedback has been, hey, it's been really nice to know when we look here in Income Lab that even after a terrible year, my spending capacity is still the same. And actually, it would take like 3 terrible years like that in a row before I'd have to
Right.
reduce spending. That peace of mind is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, I totally agree. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes it's kind of shocking to know what would actually have to happen
Yeah.
for us to adjust the plan, especially downward. And sometimes, depending on the plan itself, I've seen some where there's not a recommended decrease in spending unless there's, roughly a 40% decrease in portfolio assets. That's how malleable and adaptable and dynamic some of these plans are. Now, it depends on specifics, but you're right, knowing that, okay, yeah, we've seen a decrease in the investment accounts, but long term, in terms of how that impacts our ability to spend in retirement, having that peace of mind, knowing, yeah, we're still capable of spending what we're spending, I think that's huge. And the way I say it is, if we can take the focus off of the finances and put it back on the things you're doing with the finances, to me, that's what our job is all about. Allow you to focus on the important things so you're not having to sit there and focus on the finances.
Yeah. Awesome. Andy, is there anything
Speaking
else in here that you think is really interesting or would be helpful for people to look at?
Yeah, so I think one other cool feature of this tool that we have available to us is we can actually look back throughout history at specific time periods that maybe were more impactful or more notorious, you might say, than other time periods in the stock market and see, you know, if we stop the time machine at that point in time, how would that have impacted your retirement? Some people are like, well, yeah, but what if we get another 2008 when we retire? Well, we can see exactly what would happen if we get another 2008 when you retire. So, we can see, okay, right now we're sitting in a spending capacity of $13,000 and some change. Well, we can go back in time and look at these different periods in time that would have been very, very concerning for folks. And, this first one is, okay, let's look. What if you retired right before the global financial crisis in 2007 through 2009? And we can see how your spending would have actually changed over time according to what actually happened in that time period. And it's incredible to see that for these clients, you can see the income capacity is a little bit lower to start with. Instead of 13,000, it's right over 11,000. We're still above their goal, but we would have said, okay, really, we probably better start a little bit lower. So we're going to target $11,300 a month. But you can see throughout this entire period here of the global financial crisis, there was no time, based on how this plan was put together, there was no time that the spending would have actually been recommended to decrease. And as we get out beyond the financial crisis, we actually start to see here, you start to see stairs stepping up where we would be calling these clients and saying, hey guys, your capacity is increased. So if you'd like to, you can spend a little bit more. If not, keep living your life knowing that you're in really good shape. So it's really cool. We can look at all these different areas, as far as difficult time periods in the market and see what would have actually happened if we lived in those time periods in retirement. So very, very dynamic, very, very cool feature that we have on here that helps us to have that conversation of, well, what if?
Yeah. Andy, I think Income Lab is probably one of the best tools that we've added in the last, I'd say, 10 years. And especially because whenever you're going from the accumulation phase, when you're working, saving money, that's pretty clear, right? Like, hey, save as much
Right.
as you can, invest more aggressively. But for a lot of people, it's really concerning or confusing to move from accumulation to decumulation. So when you begin
Mhm.
pulling money out of your investments, and before Income Lab, there really was no great way to actually model that out to prove out how much can you actually spend. People were saying, hey, you can take 4% out of your investment accounts, you'll be fine forever. Well, is that true or is that not? And
Right.
so Well, that's why for us, Income Lab has been an awesome tool. Andy, I would encourage all of my clients, probably all of yours, and anyone else that we work with, if you are 55 plus, so whether you're approaching retirement or in retirement, if you've not worked with your advisor to have an Income Lab plan put together, I would strongly recommend you do so. It's probably one of the biggest recommendations that we can make right now.
Absolutely. Totally agree. It's all about peace of mind, all about peace of mind, just to know that this is what we're able to do. And, as long as we stick to that, we're in good shape.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Well, hey, Andy, let's shift gears real quick. I know we're running out of time, so I'll just give a high level discussion on this. So one of the things last deep dive that John, myself, and Clark talked about was finding ways to reduce spending whenever inflation's high like it is right now. And one
Mhm.
of the things that we would encourage you to do is to have all of your insurance repriced. So that means your home insurance, your car insurance, whatever types of insurance that you have that you're paying annually, it's well worth reaching out to someone and having a quote done. And one of the things that I wanted to ask Andy about is, hey, can you walk us through what is a human life value? What is that in terms of insurance?
Yeah.
It's a type of life insurance. How does that impact life insurance? Can you kind of
Mhm.
walk through what that topic is?
Yeah, so essentially that's a way of trying to boil down all of the income, all of the obligations, all the responsibilities of a person into one number to say this is what it would take to replace this person financially speaking. So if somebody were to pass away early, well, we're going to lose their income for as long as they're working. If they have any debts in their name that have to be paid off, that's a cost that would happen if that person were to pass away. So there are many different factors about what it would take to financially replace somebody, in the event of an early death, to where we're looking at, okay, what's the total impact? What would that equate to in terms of death benefit needed on a life insurance policy? And to your point, repricing insurance, there are times where, maybe if somebody's 30 years old and they have 30 plus years of working, they have a certain life insurance need because they have a very long income span that they're needing to replace. But 10, 20 years down the road, that need could be different because maybe we've saved up more in assets, we have less working years that we have to replace. So that need might be different. So therefore, we may be able to change insurance coverage at that point.
Yeah. And one of the other things, one of the other reasons to reprice, in addition to what Andy said, is interest rates have moved up. And since interest rates have moved up, actually premiums have come down a little bit on term life insurance policies. And so you're actually able to get maybe the same amount of coverage or maybe slightly more at a better price. And so we would definitely encourage you, if you've not had a human life value assessment done, to definitely have it run. What we had found, and Andy, correct me if I'm wrong, is most people are grossly underinsured when it comes to the total coverage need to make sure their family and loved ones are
Yeah.
taken care of. So
Yeah.
one of the other things I would encourage you, we'll put a link, pop it up here on the screen. If you are getting close to the age of 65 or you are over the age of 65 and are on Medicare and using a Medicare supplement, I would strongly encourage you again to get that repriced every single year. We have a great member of our team who you can use this link to contact, who will walk you through the current situation in the Medicare and Medicare supplement world. We are seeing and hearing from folks that they are seeing significant savings right now by having their Medicare supplements specifically repriced. We would highly encourage you, reach out to our team and we'll definitely help you out in that area as well. So guys, thanks for your time. We really appreciate it. If you have any questions about anything, don't hesitate to reach out to Andy or myself or any other member of the team. We'd be more than willing to help you out however we can. Thanks, guys.